Outer Orange.
Привет! You guys know about the Chaos player who got first place at BSF at Georgia Duluth, but he has a team, and today we're going to meet another person that was part of all this first place experience. Today's your lucky day to find out about more than just the Chaos player. Let's do it.
Hello and welcome. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What is your name?
Brian Everson. Topped in standard for the Georgia Spring Fest. I brought Kagero, Overlord today.
How did your rounds go? How did the day overall go?
Till like the last 2 rounds of the tournament, it pretty much went by smoothly. We were like undefeated until like the final 2 rounds, and then we lost the final 2 rounds.
Damn.
As for the matches, how the matches went, there was never a round where all 3 of us swept. Somebody died every round. Always an over trigger or like double crit or something like that. It was never somebody just died normally. It's just, oh, okay, I guess I lose.
I've been hearing that you guys kind of like all, because you guys were all one team. It was you, the Chaos player, which is Kusha, and then we also had
Tyson, who was playing Gears.
Yes, and I heard that you guys kind of all like helped each other out pretty much to get to the top that you got to, right?
Yeah. As for wins to loss ratio, Kusha actually lost the least. So going into top 8, me and Kusha were tied for the amount of losses, and Tyson was 1 ahead of both of us going into top 8.
Wow.
And he was playing ChronoJet. And then in top 8, I lost in the first round of top 8, and then won the second 2, while Kusha went undefeated. Tyson actually lost 2 of the top 8 matches. He won the first one, and then he lost the other 2. But me and Kusha won the last 2 rounds, so it didn't matter. We still won.
Well, good. Congratulations again. So yeah, so let's go ahead and go over the first place Overlord Kagero deck.
All right, so my deck's not super special. It's mainly just Overlord, just the normal. Except for mine, my deck's probably more than yours.
Oh my god! Was this
normal.
max rarity?
Yeah, my deck's technically not max rarity because I wasn't able to get a certain card that's full, but you'll see that in a second.
Okay.
But yeah, just normal ride deck. I'm playing 3, and then I'm playing the 1 Grail, because getting Persona Ride is actually really, really important, especially when you have 4 drive checks a turn. Like, you don't get that much free power in the deck, so every Persona Ride helps a whole lot. I'm playing for the OG Overlord. You just play it just because you want it in Soul, so you can get the 2 drive checks on your restand. Throwing them out as a rear guard also isn't bad. Funny enough, you want to see this in your opening hand because you just want to throw it in a trash can for when you ride up. I run 4 Order Hatches. I literally got the last one like the week before the tournament. It's good. It's a 10K shield in hand. You want to see it early so you can scoop this into your Soul, so you can have a quad drive basically during the turn. Pretty good. I think it's needed. It helps the deck be much faster because you used to have to start with this, but now since this card is a thing, you can actually double attack your opponent without having to swing into a rear guard. So it's needed. Then we play 4 Burning Horns, which is good. Get your Overlords, help you Persona Ride. Sometimes you'll even get the OG Overlord, and so you can put into your Soul. If you whiff, you get the counter charge, which is a good thing about the card. And I play 2 additional copies of Nahalem. I needed to make room for other cards. I kind of wanted to play 3 at first, but 2 is fine. Technically, I play 3 because 1 in the ride deck, and I play only 2 copies of this guy. This guy's good. He's on hit pressure. A lot of times you can give your opponent the hard decision if they want to get rid of extra cards or lose 2 of their units. So it's a pretty good card all together. 3 PG, 1 Order. The Order is really good against ChronoJet because you can use it to 1 card guard their grade 4s. Against that deck, this is you always search this. This is your first search.
Off the ride line, right?
Yep, off the ride line. You always search it. Depending on what your hand is starting off, depends on technically what you search. So against ChronoJet, you always search this. If you already have a PG in your hand, you search the next card, which is this guy, because you want to see this guy as soon as you ride to grade 3. This is the card that actually makes the deck good. It makes your, because it used to be a a break even or a minus if you don't have Overlord and Soul. This just makes it literally a +2. You minus the scar by 1 and it comes to the board. So it's just a free body. You don't have to worry about boosters. This card is actually just broken. And then it's costless, it's free. And then the last card I play is just 2 of this. I literally only play it because it's shield. Triggers, a little bit different than normal people. I play 7 crit instead of 8.
Why? Just curious.
Because I wanted to play the two fronts.
Really? That's interesting.
So the reason why I like the fronts, first off, they're 20k shields. It helps hit certain thresholds when you're blocking against certain columns. But it also is good checking it when you're doing your double attack, because your opponent normally they sink most of their shield into guarding your Overlord attack. But there's a lot of times where your rear guards actually hit like ridiculous numbers. They hit like 43s and ups. And so this really makes it where if your opponent uses all their guard in order to guard your Overlord, that your attacks are forced to go through with your rear guards. So these are really good. And then I play 2 draw.
Do people normally run 4 draw or something, or 4 front?
So the normal ratio is actually most people don't play fronts at all, and they play 8 crit and they just play 3 draw.
Oh, okay. Sorry, as a person who doesn't play this deck that much, I actually wasn't familiar with what a normal ratio is.
Draws are good. You need to see pieces.
Yep.
The only problem with playing 4 draw is you actually might deck yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Even playing 3, you might deck yourself if the game lasts a long time, or if you hit your over trigger, you really deck yourself. And then just 4 heal. I just play normal heals. I don't like the effect heals because there's so many different matchups. You don't know what you're gonna face. And this is just consistent 15k shield. Sure, the other ones are more shield against certain matchups, but I like the all around.
You had no fear of like maybe bumping into Ava or anything like that, where that crit heal might actually come in handy?
I fought Ava. I didn't really have any problem with it. I think I played 3 Avas during the day. Won against all of them, especially because Chrono just a restandard deck. That does nothing against that, and that's the best deck right now.
That's valid. Is there anything you would change? Like anything you felt like was kind of lacking, or you feel like could have changed after playing it all day and then getting first place with it?
I'm not even gonna lie. There wasn't really anything that I thought I could change. A lot of the times, the games that I lost were either I would get sacked by my opponent, or I would get unlucky because I wouldn't see Order Hatchet. So the games I lost were I lost against a Jet, I lost against a Minerva player, and I lost against a Minerva player twice. The first time I lost against a Minerva player is because I didn't see this at all, and she hit 4 heals.
Oh God.
So the game dragged on because I couldn't kill her fast enough, and then on the turn before I lost, I had to pitch my Persona Ride target in order not to die. So my turn before I lost, I couldn't put enough pressure on her. And if I had hit this early in the game, I would just have more cards. I wouldn't have to scar her. I don't think there's anything wrong with my list.
No. Okay.
I didn't really at first I was on the fence because I kind of wanted to play 8 crit, but the fronts actually, after play testing, the fronts actually came in handy more often than not. So I decided to keep the trigger count the way I had it.
I was just curious. Sometimes people, when they play a deck a whole day, sometimes they just find stuff. They're like, oh, maybe I should have ran this card less or this card more. But
I mean, there were a couple of cards that I was contemplating running, but they didn't really come up in a day. Like I thought about playing more copies of this, but like space is tight, and like not everybody plays the Order.
True. This is, even though I actually agree with you, I think Persona makes Overlord just immensely better.
Yeah. And with playing this, I was literally able to, the entire day, every turn, except for the one Minerva game, I was able to Persona Ride every turn.
Yeah.
Because of this.
Also, this deck doesn't run orders aside from the Blitz, so it's not clashing with
anything. It doesn't clash with anything. Yeah, the only you're right. You just want to make sure that when you're going into your turn, that you want to have 2 front row guys out. You want to always maximize your attacks. and then just make sure you have enough to survive. You don't want to go all in. You don't really need to commit. Like your board makes itself. You get a free guide beginning of your time. As long as you commit your front row guys to your board, you get boosters for free. You don't have to commit. Your deck just does it for you. So a lot of times, so this card is kind of sort of iffy sometimes. Because when you go first, you can't really use it. So when you're on Overlord, you only get 3 drive checks, and sometimes discarding 2 isn't worth. Or sometimes you might have one of this, and you might want it for your next turn. My first drive checks and whatnot, I might not actually restand my Overlord if I go in first. Sometimes I might just, I check 2 blanks, pass turn. It literally just depends. Like if I have 1 counterblast and I have this, I'll do it. If I don't have this in my first turn, I probably will not restand. Pitching 2 cards going first is worth it. It's like if you just like, I swing crit and my opponent takes 2 damage and doesn't hit a defensive, then sure, I'm pitching 2 cards. It's worth it at that point. You don't have this, which you tend to have it. Like, again, if I have a PG in my opening hand, I'm probably going to search this. The only search targets for the ride line for grade 1 is the PG or the Hobby.
Yeah.
You want to see as many of this as possible because you're unless you just like sack your opponent, so you want to see every copy of this as possible. Know when to use your restand going first. Sometimes it's just not worth it because you just minus yourself, or your opponent hit a defensive and you won't be able to hit them. You're just like, I can get a restand for 1 drive check and maybe hit them. Or you can just reserve your resources for next turn and just go in harder. Because in your next turn, you're persona riding, so you're putting way more pressure on your opponent then.
Any shout outs?
My teammates, Kusha, the GOAT, he came in and he was talking about like, I'm playing Chaos today, and I'm like, I thought we were playing Overlord, Ava, and Chrono Jet, and he was like, no, this deck is good, trust me. And I'm like thinking in the back of my head, I was like, worst case scenario, we have a Overlord deck and a Chrono Jet deck. So if we have to carry him, we'll do it. But to my surprise, that didn't happen. There were so many games, because I sat in the middle, I was player B. There were so many games where I'd finish my game and I would look to Kusha's game and my opponent would have like 7 cards or 8 cards in their hand, and Kusha would go 68. And his opponent would just look at their hand and just be like, I gotta take it. And then he'll be like, 73. And I'm just over here looking at it like, this deck is a real deck. I mean, even Tyson was like, the deck's real, Brian, let him play it.
The deck's real.
And he wasn't lying, it was a real deck. So.
Hey, if you build it right, that's the magic of D. There's actually a lot of underground decks that just perform.
Like I remember specifically, he was telling a card that most players don't play is like Flaming Pony.
Yep.
And when I think about it, it makes sense. There's a card called Dimension Creeper from OG Vanguard. It's basically Dimension Creeper. So like, I know you need to have like a certain soul threshold, and it just goes away and fills your soul. So it's like, why not, right?
Yep, exactly. Well, all right, thank you again for being here, spending time with me. Don't have much else for you. Again, congratulations, and till next time, I hope to see more tops from you. You have topped before, so anything's possible. But anyway, peace out, guys. Das vidania. See you guys in a future video. Bye.